Disclaimer, quick note before we start. Everything in this video is based on public opinion, widely discussed perceptions, and how these leaders are commonly portrayed in media and online. This is not my personal opinion. All right, let's get into it. First up, Kim Jong-un, the leader of South Korea. Kim Jong-un is the supreme leader of South Korea, which honestly is way more relevant because North and South Korea couldn't be more different. And the fact that people mix them up, that probably drives Kim Jong-un absolutely crazy, which tells us something already. So, Kim Jong-un. Publicly, he is one of the most feared and least understood leaders on the planet. Online discussions about him tend to follow a pretty consistent pattern. People describe him as extreme, unpredictable, and deliberately intimidating. Not just powerful, but theatrically powerful. Like he wants you to feel it. Think about it. Public executions, nuclear tests announced like product launches. Missiles fired almost as a communication tool, not just at enemies, but at the world, as if to say, I'm still here, don't forget about me. That behavior reads to most people online as a kind of strategic paranoia, like someone who learned early on that fear is more reliable than respect. His father ruled that way, his grandfather did too. And Kim Jong-un has, if anything, pushed it further. There's also the weirdness factor, the luxury cars, the cheese obsession, reportedly, the strange, almost theatrical appearances where he shows up, says very little, and lets the silence do the work. Many people online don't really laugh at Kim Jong-un, even when the memes exist. There's something underneath the jokes that's just unsettling, and that's probably exactly what he wants. Perceived as extreme, theatrical, fear-driven, strategically unpredictable. Vladimir Putin. If Kim Jong-un is fear performed loudly, Putin is fear performed very, very quietly. People who study his behavior, and really just people who pay attention online, tend to describe him with one word more than any other: calculated. The man is seen as a chess player, not reactive, anticipatory, like he already thought of your next 3 moves before you made the first one. Look at how he carries himself in interviews. The long pauses, the way he never seems rushed. Even when journalists try to pressure him, there's this almost cold stillness. People pick up on that. Online, you'll see people describe him as robotic or predatory or, and this is interesting, KGB by nature, not just by training. Because that's what he was, a KGB intelligence officer. And it shows. He does not reveal more than he needs to. He does not react to provocations the way most politicians do. He waits. Now, that doesn't mean people admire it. Plenty of people online are genuinely frightened by how methodical he appears. The invasion of Ukraine, the poisonings, the long game he seems to be playing in global geopolitics. These things build a picture of someone who treats power like a cold science. Some describe him as a mafia boss, wrapped in the language of diplomacy. Others go further, but the common thread is always the same. This person is not improvising. And then there's Donald Trump. Where do you even start? Trump is probably the most discussed world leader in internet history. Like, genuinely. The sheer volume of opinions, memes, breakdowns, defenses, and outrage about this one person is almost impossible to measure. And the most common thing people say? Unpredictable. Not in the careful chess player way of Putin. More like, the rules don't apply and he knows it and he enjoys it. His communication style alone tells you so much. He doesn't talk like a traditional politician. He talks like someone who never got the memo that you're supposed to be measured, careful, diplomatic. He'll post something on social media at 3 a.m. that reshapes international trade policy. He'll give a press conference that ends up creating a week of news cycles, sometimes on purpose, sometimes seemingly not. People who support him often describe this as authentic, like he's the only leader saying the quiet part out loud. People who don't support him describe the exact same behavior as reckless or even dangerous. What's interesting, though, is that even his critics tend to acknowledge one thing: he has an instinct for attention. He understands media, maybe better than any leader alive. He knows how to be the center of the story. Always. Behaviorally, people online often describe him as someone with a very strong ego, low tolerance for criticism, and an ability to dominate a room that is genuinely unusual even by presidential standards. Love him or absolutely not. He's hard to ignore, and that's kind of the point. Perceived as unpredictable, media savvy, ego-driven, rule-breaking, politically disruptive, Xi Jinping, president of China. And in terms of sheer power, consolidated, quiet, total, there are few leaders anywhere who match him. The public perception of Xi online is remarkably consistent, controlled, not just in the political sense, but in the personal sense. He does not do unscripted moments. He does not appear to react. He projects a kind of glacial authority. His communication is formal, measured, symbolic. He speaks in the language of historical destiny, China's rise, the great rejuvenation of the Chinese nation. It's big framing, and for millions of people inside China, that framing resonates deeply. Outside China, the perception is different. People describe him as authoritarian with a long memory. The crackdowns in Hong Kong, the Xinjiang situation, the tightening of media and internet controls, the slow erosion of the term limit system that once existed to prevent one-person dominance. What strikes people is the patience. He doesn't rush. Belt and Road, the massive global infrastructure investment, was a decades-long play. His foreign policy doesn't react to news cycles. It moves at the speed of strategy. And that, honestly, is what makes many people internationally nervous. It's not the explosiveness, it's the calm. Perceived as calculated, authoritarian, historically minded, strategically patient, powerful without needing to raise his voice.